Hey guys, Reginald here, back today with another deck profile. So today I've got the Gaia Dragon deck. It's really fun, sort of a level 7 turbo deck. You can make quite a few easy rank 7s as well, so really fun. Let's get into it. For the main deck, we've got 3 of the best Gaia monster. We've got 3 Gaia the Magical Knight. It's basically a starter of the deck, so you summon this and then you can summon a Curse of Dragon card essentially from hand or graveyard, which will then trigger its effect to search or whatever. So really good card, easily searchable, and with it being level 7 you often want to keep this on board, attack with it, then make like a Red Eyes Flare for example. So 3 Gaia the Magical Knight, 1 Soldier Gaia the First Knight. I find it's just good to do a bit of extra damage because a lot of times you can actually fall short, especially if your opponent doesn't have a monster. It's actually really hard to OTK him, so this actually gets you a lot closer, doing a lot more damage. 3 copies of Curse of Dragon, the Cursed Dragon, arguably one of the worst named cards in the entire game. It's just so redundant, but it's actually really good. Whenever it's summoned, it doesn't have to be summoned after the Gaia effect. You get to add a card that lists Gaia the Dragon Champion. So you can search your field spell, you can search your fusion spell, or you can search Spiral Spare Strike. So it's really good, just helps get you to all your combo pieces. And also when it's used as a fusion material, when it's in the grave, you can blank your opponent's entire board, so like a Dark Ruler in effect. So it's really good. You do play 3, but you also play 1 of the Curse of Dragonfire, because it's actually harder to search the dragons than it is the Gaias. So I just wanted to play an extra copy so I'm not likely to draw all Gaias and no dragons. So just 1 of these. Essentially it's a fusion spell in itself, so you can use this and other cards you control as fusion material. So if you're under like an Archetype Beast or anything, you can actually out it with this. But an Archetype Beast isn't really a problem for this deck anyway, because you can normal summon a 2/3 guy and just beat over it. So just 1 Curse of Dragonfire. 3 copies of Artillery Catapult Turtle. For a card that can special summon pretty much anything in your deck from the deck, it's actually not that good, because it's not a Gaia, it's not a light, it's not a dark, and if you got this in hand in the field spell you can't reveal this to search. But as far as it goes, it's very good for what it is. You can grab whatever piece you're missing, but it can be frustrating sometimes. 3 copies of Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. I said this deck really struggles with damage, and this card, just by making your fusion monster with your 2 main materials, you end up with a light and a dark engrave, so you can easily just put this out and then it is game. So just a really great way to close out games. 3 copies of Nibiru. You do want to go second in this deck, but you don't want to go second against a ridiculous board. You just want to go second against maybe a big token, do some piercing damage, and then hopefully win from there. So Nibiru is one of the strongest hand traps right now. Apart from Dino, it's really hard to play around, so 3 of those. 3 Gammas. Again, really strong hand trap. And then the 1 Driver. It can't be hit with Called by the Grave. It's a really strong card because it also removes as well as negates, so I wanted to go for high impact hand traps because I don't want to have to break a big board with this deck. So there we are. Then on to the spells. Got 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. There's not much in the extra deck that you really care about because you can play essentially 6 of the same fusion monster because they're very similar. So 3 Extrav is just good for getting you through the deck. There's no other cards in the main deck that draw anyway, so you might as well. 3 copies of Galloping Gaia, the new field spell. It's good, but it's not amazing. You have to have 1 of the pieces before you can search the other. If you've just got the Catapult Turtle, you can't do anything. But basically, you reveal a Gaia, you add a dragon, you reveal a dragon, you add a Gaia. Then in the battle phase, if you control Gaia the Dragon Champion, your opponent can't activate card effects. And your 2 boss monsters are both treated as Gaia the Dragon Champion. So it's really good for that, because you can then just get your piercing through without any problems. So 3 of those. 2 copies of Gateway to Chaos. This is why it's easier to search the Gaias than it is the dragons, because this can add a Gaia Knight card. So you can search either your the main one, the level 7, or the level 8 as well. So 2 Gateway to Chaos. And lastly, we are playing 1 copy of Mystic Mine, because you're playing set rotation anyway, you're playing to go second. Could be you use all your stuff, then bait out all the negations, you can just mine them for game. Because I don't like this card, but if you're playing a tier 3 deck against a tier 1 deck, if they can't outmine, that's their problem. So 1 copy of mine. 3 copies of Spiral Fusion, a really interesting fusion spell card. If you summon a Gaia Dragon with it, well, Gaia the Dragon Champion, its attack is doubled and it can attack monsters twice per turn. So the fact it attacks monsters is kind of frustrating, because if your opponent literally has no monsters, you summon it out on 5/2, you attack them, and then what? So it doesn't actually get game that often, but it's a really cool sort of idea. And you could send it off Verta Anaconda, but I'm actually not playing it because it's quite hard to make, believe it or not. So 3 Spiral Fusion, 3 copies of Dragon's Mirror. It's just, like I said before, there's not enough damage, so you want to be able to Spiral Fuse and then either summon BLS or Dragon's Mirror, because that way you can get you a lot closer to game, and then you can overlay for the Red Eyes Flare Metal for the last 500 in their turn. So 3 Dragon's Mirror, I think looks really nice in this sort of not quite ultra, but really lovely card. 1 copy of Spiral Spear Strike. You only need the 1 because it is searchable off extra deck cards as well as main deck cards, so one of your fusions actually grabs it from deck. Just make sure you guys do piercing, and then if you do piercing, you draw 2, discard 1. So it's a really good card, but again, you only need 1. You got 1 Terraforming. Literally, you're playing 6 field spells, so you might as well pick which one you want. 1 Called by the Grave. You don't want to get hand trapped, but I'm finding this card less and less useful. I could probably cut it because we are playing 41 cards. 1 copy of Reasoning. All the cards in your deck are different levels pretty much. So even if it's just a driver that you summon to your side of the field, it can actually help you get game. So really good. You can end on you can get a 4, a 7, a 6, or an 8. So really, really good card. And then lastly, I've got 1 copy of Set Rotation. I mean, you are playing all the field spells anyway, as well as the Gateway to Chaos, which used to be played with this card anyway, because your opponent can't activate unless they have a valid search target. So with this, you can just essentially lock them out of having a field spell while also getting your own. So really, really great card. So that's it for the main deck. Now for the extra deck, we've got 3 copies of Gaia the Magical Knight of Dragons. This is sort of another retrain of Gaia the Dragon Champion. It's always treated as Gaia the Dragon Champion. Basically, when you attack over something, it gains 2,600 attack. So with it being able to attack twice, it would only still gain 1 lot because it is hard once per turn. But it comes out on 5/2. If you Spiral Fusion it, then you can attack over and gain another 2/6. Then quick effect, you can have it reduce its attack by 2/6 to destroy a card in the field. So that is a quick effect, so that's actually really useful, especially if you're going first. So we're playing 3 copies of this. And then you've got 2 copies of Sky Galloping Gaia the Dragon Champion. The reason I'm only playing 2 is because it's largely the same as the other one. The main effect you want on it is the effect that Spiral Fusion gives it. The difference with this one, it can change the battle position of cards it attacks, and it also searches the Spiral card from the deck. So you can actually do piercing damage and then draw cards. So it is really good. You could play 3, but I didn't really see the need. We are playing Extravagance, but we are playing 5 targets, so that should be fine. Then on to the XYZs, we've got 1 Big Eye. It comes up occasionally, you just don't want to be without it because it is a really cool card, and sometimes it'll just win you a game out of nowhere. Got 1 copy of Dracosac. Again, really good card. Sometimes you literally just need to destroy like a floodgate or something, so you just want to get rid of it, so Dracosac, and then you can just sort of grind your way from there. 2 copies of Flare Metal because you are playing Extravagance. Again, you could play 3. Basically, if you attack directly with 2 of your fusions and one of them's been doubled by Spiral Fusion, it's actually not a game, so you just want to be able to summon this to do the last 500. So really, really strong. You have to play at least 1. I'm playing 2 because obviously I'm playing Extravagance. Onto the links. Got a Cerberus. It is hard to make link 2s in this deck, I'm going to be honest, because a lot of the stuff you summon you then fuse with, but it does come up occasionally. Same again for the Phoenix. These are mostly for grind games. They're just really sort of good utility cards. You just want to be able to have them just in case. Got the unicorn, again comes up slightly. There's really not much to put in the extra deck, so I thought I might as well. Gone for the Blackluster Soldier. This is mostly because I am playing the Blackluster sort of deck, but you can bring this out with its full effect by using a Gaia or using a BLS, so it's a really cool card and sometimes can just win you the game. Then you got one access code. Again, very late game. It's nice just to have a boss monster you can go straight into and start shaking things up. And lastly, we've got one copy of Omega. You are playing the Cypherane package, and with cards like Extravagance, but also the turtle, the catapult turtle, you can actually get this out quite a bit. Because if they've got pretty much any hand trap that you can gamma, then you can just tribute off the turtle. They'll ash you or whatever, and then you gamma them, and then you win because this card is broken. So you really want to be able to do that, and this card just enables that. So that's it for the extra deck. And then for the side deck, we've just got the one copy of DD Crow. There wasn't really any other cards to play, because I'm already maining the one mine, so this is just my extra card. So I figured I'd put in a DD Crow because it's a really strong hand trap and it gives you a good sort of matchup against different decks. So just the one DD Crow. A lot of people don't see it coming. 3 copies of Dark Ruler no more. If you do end up facing one of those ridiculous combo decks, you just want to be able to Dark Ruler them and then try and break the board from there. Attack all the guys for 5/2. So Dark Ruler. 2 more copies of Mystic Mine. If you are facing a tier 1 deck, I don't feel bad siding this card in. If it's like a friendly game, then I won't, but I mean, this card is ridiculous. Sometimes you can literally just bait out the negations, play this, and then you just win because they have no main deck outs. And then for the traps, we've got 3 copies of Strike. Really good card. Helps you go first in the deck because you don't have that many going first plays apart from summoning a guy that can pop once. So you just want to be able to back that up with like a Strike, for example. 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Again, you don't have to break boards. Just a card that does it for you is so good. So 3 evenly. Then lastly, I've got 3 copies of Impermanence. There are already a lot of hand traps in the deck, but we're in a very sort of high hand trap format because of Needle Fibre and everything else. So I think it's really good. Your opponent can't really respond to it a lot of the time because it can't be gammed, it can't be card-byed. Just gives you sort of great coverage, and also going first, you can actually get a lot of people with its second effect. So just make sure you sort of play it somewhere. If they've already got a back row, for example, play it there. So that's it for the side deck. So guys, this has been my Gaia Knight deck profile. Hope you've all enjoyed watching it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.